Oh yeah, it's great to celebrate silver's surge in price today, especially on a holiday week. But what happens tomorrow will be the true test for the metal as we press on forward. It's going to be very important. I'll explain why as we explore. That's right, silver had a great day today, surging over 2.7% moments before the markets close. It has been a wild ride to see silver continue to maintain above $50 an ounce for now the seventh straight trading day. Or actually, I'm sorry, the sixth straight trading day. I think the record is 9 days consecutive above $50 an ounce, which means that we are in territory now where $50 silver is starting to become the norm. But really tomorrow and Wednesday and maybe Friday will tell us a whole lot more as to whether or not we can hold on to $50 silver or not. But what is silver doing right now? It's up 2.72%, up $1.36. Gold is up 1.64%, up $66.80 to $4,133 an ounce, and silver's at $51.42. Platinum actually surged pretty good today too. It's up $30, and palladium has moved up, and so has rhodium, 1.9% increase. The gold to silver ratio is at 80.53 now, and I'm telling you, we're starting to get used to this 80-to-1 gold to silver ratio, which means that may be the new norm right now, or somewhere thereabouts, and in between 78 and 82. We'll see how it plays out. But nonetheless, I'm holding on to precious metals, and I'm buying. And my friends at Summit Metals, there's a lot going on there. They're a great company. I believe they have the best slogan in the business, elevate your wealth. There's just no other that compares in my view, and I would say that even if I wasn't sponsored by them. But to check them out, they've got great products, great customer service, and competitive pricing on some items. Now, there's going to be some items that are going to be a little bit more expensive than others, but I think in some ways, it's okay to pay a little bit more for some things if you get great service. And having a company that you can trust, I think, is quite paramount and important. It's reliable, trustworthy, honest, and that's the people at Summit Metals. I stake my reputation on it. But nonetheless, here we go. We've got silver moving in this direction and moving up here, but we can celebrate today. But a word of caution, a lot can change. I'm going to be referencing two pieces here. The first from FX Street that talks a little bit about what's going on. And in this piece, they totally dismiss something else, some great progress that has been made, which is one of the things that could have a detrimental impact on silver and gold, but for very good reasons. Silver rises slightly at the start of the week, and this was written earlier in the day. And it trades over $50 an ounce, like gold, whose recent momentum has been driven by shifting monetary policy expectations. Silver benefits from a softer U.S. dollar as markets reassess the likelihood of another Federal Reserve rate cut in December. We're going to tell you what those are here in a moment. Mixed messages from the Fed officials have triggered profit-taking on the U.S. dollar, lowering the opportunity costs for holding non-yielding assets, and has supported silver. So what is the dollar index doing right now? Well, it's actually down, but only slightly. It's down 0.06% to 100.18 right now. Investors remain cautious ahead of several key macroeconomic releases this week, starting tomorrow with the U.S. gross domestic product numbers for the third quarter and personal consumption expenditures. This price index, which is a key inflation gauge for the Fed, probably the most important gauge that the Fed uses to determine whether or not to cut rates or not. And market participants who already observed range-bound price action last week in precious metals prefer to wait for these catalysts before committing to a clear directional move, which means that we very well could see the Fed watch tool probabilities completely change when these numbers are released. Right now, it is shot up to 84.9%. 84.9% chance that we're going to see a quarter-point rate cut on December the 10th meeting for the Fed. that could change dramatically, much like what it did before, and that is boosting up silver's price. Yesterday it was 71%. Friday rather. It was Friday. It was at 71%. Now it's at 84.99. That's crazy. But remember, it could whipsaw in the exact opposite direction as we see things move forward. Now, this piece here says that geopolitical risks continue to underpin silver. The escalation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and renewed tensions in the Middle East maintain demand for safe haven assets. Well, the thing is they're not there nearly as much. There's actually hope for peace. And they made much progress. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, mentioned that today. And so this is, pretty amazing. And this was pretty much known at the time of the publishing of this article. Reuters, actually, believe it or not, has it more right on that situation. Reuters is reporting here gold prices rising more than 1% on Monday, supported by growing expectations of the Federal Reserve interest rate cut next month, and ahead of fresh U.S. economic data for further clues on that monetary policy. The market is increasingly getting convinced that the United States Federal Reserve is on track to cut interest rates in December, according to Bart Malik, head of commodity strategies at TD Securities. New York Fed President John Williams said on Friday that the U.S. interest rates could fall in the near term without putting the Fed's inflation goal at risk, while helping guard against a slide in the job market. And the gold, a non-yielding asset, tends to do well in low interest rate environments and during geopolitical and economic instability. And silver is shining very brightly now, as along with that, even more so than gold at this point in time in its performance. We're waiting for data, and the expectation is that it may be somewhat weaker. Inflation probably not very elevated, and that all points to gold doing fairly well, Malik added. But that could change. They could be wrong on that. Some of these data have been delayed, and so, who knows what it's going to be in these figures. Investors are looking out for key economic data that were delayed due to the government shutdown, including U.S. retail sales, jobless claims, and producer price figures due out later this week. Meanwhile, the U.S. and Ukraine continue talks on Monday to craft an acceptance plan to end Russia's war in Ukraine, after agreeing to revise an earlier U.S. proposal that many viewed as overly favorable to Moscow. With the Fed debate taking more headlines and geopolitical swings, especially vis-a-vis Ukraine, gold will still likely catch a bid, but in our view, it remains range-bound between $4,000 and $4,100, according to Ronald O'Connell, an analyst at StoneX, said in a note. I guess that's with including some positive information. But I think if we do get a peace, or a cease of fire that would lead to a peace, a prolonged peace in Ukraine, I think that is going to bode well for everybody. But gold and silver will suffer as a result of that. And my guess is gold may struggle to stay in the $4,000 range, and silver will struggle to stay above $50 an ounce if there's something that's substantive that comes out of that. And it's probably going to be a while before we know for sure, by the way, just so you know. Nonetheless, with the Fed debate taking more headlines and geopolitical swings, we're going to see a lot of this stuff, kind of move and shift around. And I think that's what she's saying here. But we'll see how this plays out. Nonetheless, these data could have a dramatic impact on what the Fed is going to do, and we could be surprised. And that surprise could lead to a pause for the December meeting. I know they're not betting on that, but remember, we've been surprised before, and that coupled with these new information and a potential peace deal could be very bad for gold and silver. I won't say devastating, because I think there's some resiliency there in both metals, but I do think it could put some damage, and we could see what happens. But it's really going to just depend on these economic data as they're released, and that's going to probably start tomorrow. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm continuing to watch, but remember, no matter what, there's more to gold and silver than just its price. Silver is a very lovely metal, as you can see here. It is the most reflective metal on the periodic table, and you can tell by how it is finished and designed in these bullion and semi-collectible coins here. And it's pretty amazing how you can how it reflects and how it just shines here. But with a situation like this, I believe in having a core stack that you hold on to for dear life. That's right, HODL is the phrase, hold on for dear life. And how does that propagate itself? With a diamond fist. Yeah, that's right. Diamond fist. Post that down in the comment section down below. Your core stack you hold on for as long as you possibly can, because you have wealth outside of the system. It is empowering to hold on to your silver, folks, no matter the price, for a core stack. And there's a portion of your stack that you may diversify with, and you can profit from. You can sell to pay for expenses or for opportunities out there. But remember, when you do that, you obviously exchange for these for dollars. But I believe in having a store of wealth outside of the system completely. And that's why I've been preaching for a long enough time now about taking the diamond hands to the next level. And that is to take yourselves into the diamond fist zone. That's right. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are about silver today. A pretty exciting day indeed. A 2.56% increase is a surge by any definition for sure for one trading day. $51.34 just moments before the markets close. But we'll see if it can hold, if it can stick. I would love to see us get past 9 days above $50 an ounce. We'll see what happens. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.